Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Courtside with Beilinson Tennis, part of the Tennis Channel Podcast Network. Tonight, we are privileged to have the CEO at SwingVision, Swupnil Sahai. Backed by investors Andy Roddick and James Blake, SwingVision lets you experience tennis like the pros. We are excited to talk with Swupnil and hear what SwingVision is all about. Swupnil, welcome to the pod. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, hey, David. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
So, I've heard about this product through the various social media channels. I know you've done other podcasts. It's great product. Before we get into some of the details, why don't you give us a high level product overview, and then we'll go into more specifics later on.
Yeah, for sure. At the basic level, the way it works is you take your iPhone, and it's just an app on the iPhone, and set it up behind the baseline when you're playing tennis. And it will track your ball trajectory, your player movements, all that in real time. So it'll generate all kinds of stats about your game, create highlights of your match, and then now you can even use it to challenge line calls as well. And it's all just through your iPhone.
Yeah, we're going to get to that, the line challenges a little bit later too. But we're going to get into the product. But before, I want to start and hear a little bit more about your background. One, in tennis, and two, also in the technology world. We know you spent quite a bit of time at Tesla, so I'm interested to hear about that.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Well, so tennis is basically the first sport I played. I started playing probably around the time I was like 7 years old. My dad taught me for the most part initially. My younger brother also played. So we'd play like every weekend, and then ended up playing like high school and all that. So, not like ultra competitive, but still a big part of my life, I would say. And then I'm a huge tennis fan as well. So I've seen like lots of matches over the years. I've attended all the Grand Slams in person, been to like Indian Wells, Miami, Cincinnati, all the tournaments. So big fan. and I still play today. I play USTA 4 leagues here in California. So if you're in NorCal, you can come play with me. But yeah, so that's kind of my tennis background. And then, it was more of a hobby for me, really. And my main focus was always like school. And so, I went to Berkeley for my undergrad, studied math and statistics there. Was originally trying to become a professor. So I went to Columbia to do my PhD in statistics. So I was really trying to go like really deep in that route. Never thought I'd be working in the tennis industry, honestly. But I always had this idea that I wanted to track my game, just like pros. And, you see Hawkeye and all the amazing data they provide today in professional matches. And I wanted that for myself, basically. And there was no way for me to do that. And so I was like, oh, I'd really love to be able to make this, but I don't even know like how I would even start. So, I didn't really pursue it too strongly. I ended up after my PhD going to work at Tesla, worked in the autonomous driving team there. So I've always been really passionate about electrification, and everything that Tesla's been doing, I think, is so great for climate change. And Autopilot's such a cool team because you're literally making a car that drives itself, which is like one of the coolest technologies in the world. So I worked on that problem for about 2 years and became really well versed in computer vision, which is basically kind of algorithms related to analyzing things with a camera. That's basically what that means. And so I specifically was working on object tracking. So like, every Tesla has like 8 cameras around it. And so my job was to like use the camera to detect like, where the vehicles are, how far are they, how big are they, same for pedestrians, how fast are they moving. And so I just became sort of like an expert almost in object tracking. And that's kind of where things started to click in my mind. And I was like, oh, this problem I always wanted to solve for tennis, like this is going to be the solution. I think it's the cameras. And so it's like, if I can just use the iPhone camera, track the ball, then I can provide the same kind of statistics that you're seeing there at the professional level. And then that's where I kind of made the leap and started working on SwingVision.
Now, were you kind of working on this like as a side gig, like a passion project when you were still at Tesla, or did you guys quit Tesla cold turkey and just start this from scratch?
No, yeah. So that's a good point. So we did start working on it a bit before that. Actually, what we did initially was we made an app for the Apple Watch. That was like the first version of SwingVision. It was much simpler. So you could basically like keep score on your watch using like by swiping on the screen. It would actually measure the speed of your strokes as well, like almost like as a sensor on your wrist. We could measure how fast you're swinging. So it was a pretty cool app, but it was a lot of manual entry. And like the data was pretty limited. Like I could just see like forehand, backhand, shot speed, but like very limited. And then it wasn't until we went to the video where we're like, oh, I can actually see more than just your wrist. I can see the entire trajectory of the ball. Where is it landing? How fast is it going through the air? What's the clearance of the net? All that stuff. And so, yeah, so it was a side project for a while. But it got to a point where we were getting so involved, like we couldn't just do it as a side project anymore. And then we also ended up being very fortunate, raising some money from a few folks. And so we kind of had the capital to like hire some more people. And then that's kind of when we made the jump. Yeah.
Awesome. No, I always love hearing those stories, how it all starts. So how did James and Andy get involved? Did you have any history with those two before this
No,
project, or just how'd that all
no,
get how'd they
definitely
both
not.
get?
Yeah, no, I mean, as big of a fan as I am, and that's really all I was to the biggest extent. I'm not really that involved in the sport now. I am obviously, but at the time, I was just a fan. But I had friends who were really good. The high school I went to here in the Bay Area, Saratoga High School, produced some really great players, and we had one player who ended up going professional, and so he had to connect through to James through one of his physios. So his physio is actually the creator of Cramps Away. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a product that you like swirl in your mouth. It takes away your cramps in like 30 seconds. So it's amazing. Yeah. So Stan Wawrinka actually used it when he beat Novak in the US Open final in 2015, I think it was. Or 2016. So anyways, so the physio was like an avid user of Swing at the time, like the first version, which was like the watch version. And James Blake is actually the face of that product now because he's been using it through his like marathons and things he's been doing post retirement. And so he introduced me to James. So I actually went with him, flew down to San Diego. We met in a country club with James. I pitched him my vision for the company, and he was so impressed with kind of my background, but also he actually saw like the full potential beyond even what I was thinking. Because I was thinking like, oh, I want every amateur to be able to use this. But James saw right away how like every level of the sport could actually use this. Like he was thinking even for himself when he was playing, he would have loved to have some technology like this. And he pointed out, pretty astutely that outside of the Grand Slam kind of matches and center court and all that, and I guess Masters now, but you don't really have access to that data. Like even if you're Roger, if you're on a practice court, which is actually most of the time that you're playing tennis is on a practice court, you have no data at all, and even today. So that kind of blew my mind, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good point. Like where there's so much, there's a huge market here for what we're trying to build. So James saw that right away. And so he was like super enthusiastic. He ended up being our first investor basically. And again, this was still while I was at Tesla. So somehow the side gigs started to get pretty crazy. And then we wanted to get one more person. So he's obviously good friends with Andy. So I went out with him to an exhibition match in Texas, and we got to meet Andy. And I also met John McEnroe and Jim Courier as well. And so I actually got a chance to basically pitch to all of them, which is really cool. And then Jim was actually really interested. Andy was also very interested. But Andy ended up being the one who kind of pulled the trigger in the end. And it's been really exciting having both of them since then.
Great. No, that's awesome to hear those stories and how those two got involved. So you talked a little bit about the automated shot tracking and I guess the Zoom feature. I guess we can go to the review of the line calling too, because that's a big issue at the junior level and at the collegiate level. You call your own lines for the most part, and you've seen some pretty egregious calls at important times in big matches at those levels. It's relative to each level, right? And it's pretty egregious. And explain it to me. So if I'm playing against you, do I use my phone and put it behind me, and do you use your phone and put it behind you? Mm-hmm. So we have both one phone on each side of the court, or does one phone do it? Explain how that works.
Yeah, so right now, actually, it works with just one phone. So you could put up your phone, or I could put up my phone. Doesn't really matter right now, because maybe not everybody has the app yet. So that's the way we do it right now. And eventually, we'll allow you to use two phones for like higher accuracy. But basically, right now, I could just set up my phone. I could be playing with you. And
where do you put it? Behind you?
Yeah, behind the baseline.
Okay.
Yeah. So you put it kind of either on top of the fence or like on a tripod right behind the baseline. For the best experience, you should put it on top of the fence. There's actually a phone mount that we sell that lets you stick it on top of the fence very quickly. It's like a little pole, just like hooks on. So that's how you set it up behind the baseline. And then the angle that you're going to see from that is very similar to what you see in a broadcast match. So, the classical behind the baseline sort of angle. And then you just hit record, it starts going, it starts tracking all the shots in real time. And then if you or I are kind of unsure about a call, then I can just head over to my Apple Watch, and then I can just say like challenge, and then it'll let me choose from the last 4 shots that were hit.
Okay.
And then we can like go in and say, oh, that's the one I want to challenge. I can tap it. It'll play it back in slow motion, and then it'll also give me a result. So SwingVision will actually tell you whether it's in or out. You can also watch it in slow motion. You can play it back
Will
and
it
forth
zoom
with
in
frame by
too?
frame.
Will it zoom in?
Yes.
Close to
Yes,
it?
that's right. It zooms in really closely around the ball as well. So it does all of that for you. And you can verify for yourself. And it's like so crazy. I use this when I play with just recreational matches. And there's been so many times I've lost count at this point of situations where my opponent and I are both completely unsure. Like this is like 50-50 chance. We have no idea whether it was in or out. The ball just came by way too quickly. But on my watch, it's like so clear, crystal clear that it was in or it was out. And then Swing also gets the right decision. So that's been so amazing to see that the technology is basically already better than the human eye. And now we're just trying to get it to work better than the human eye 100% of the time. And at
So
that
that's why,
point,
like, even if we had
like,
two, one behind you, one behind me, it's just more, I mean, it's already really accurate, but that would make it maybe even a little bit clear. But I guess my next logical question would be, have you talked to the USTA? Have you talked to colleges about, hey, this could solve a lot of these, the egregious cheating? And again, there's so much good with tennis. I just don't want to focus on the bad calls. Okay. And I mean, that's tiny percentage, but obviously it's an issue. And as you go up in level, there's just not enough money to pay linesmen to have all over your courts. It's just
totally.
facts are facts. So have you talked to colleges and have you talked to the USTA about, hey, this can solve a lot of these issues?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, at the college level, we actually have a partnership with the Intercollegiate Tennis Association, the ITA. So we're the official kind of ball tracking app for them. And then we also have a partnership with the USTA now too. So we've been discussing with both of them. We're hoping to get this rolled out in USTA leagues. That's probably gonna be the first place you're gonna see it. And then similarly, we're working with some colleges to do it. The college process is probably gonna take a few years to be honest. But we hope to at least getting some colleges piloting it by next year is the goal. And then we're even talking to some challenger events too. So, we're in communication with a lot of people who run challenger events around the country here in the US. And even for them, budget's a big issue. And, they'll have like one or two linesmen. And a lot of times the linesmen have to call the lines all the way down to the other side of the net, which is just crazy. Like they should not be having to do that. That's just not going to be that good. And so we're going to hopefully pilot it in some challenger events potentially this year itself, actually. So really excited about that.
I think that's great. I mean, because again, there may be only one or two calls during a match, but the bad call is never a 2-2 in the first set. It's always a 4-5, deuce in college when it's no ad.
It's so true. Yeah.
That could fill a huge hole that I think would make a lot of people happy in the tennis world. So good luck with that. Best of luck with that. I want to talk a little bit about the cost. I guess I'll ask you the basic cost price for the features. And I know you have a couple other, you have like a bundle, like with the phone mount and everything. So if you can tell the listeners about the cost.
For sure. Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, the app is completely free to download. We're only on iOS right now. We do plan to expand to Android by the end of the year, but we're kind of exclusive to iOS at the moment. And you can record up to 2 hours a month for free. So there's no charge at all. So basically you can create a free account, just get going, start recording, no cost at all. If you want to analyze more than that and get like kind of access to all the features that we have, then it's $150 a year, which is roughly $12 a month. And that gives you access to basically 30 hours a month of shot tracking, video analysis, all of the stats that you can see, and cloud storage as well. So we'll back up all of your videos in the cloud for life. There's no cap on that. You can play for 30 years with us if you want, and your videos will always be there. You can go back and watch your video whenever you want. So that's something we really believe in. So you get this lifetime cloud storage access, which just from that perspective, I think this is an amazing deal. And then you also get access to line calling as well. So line calling is exclusive to that subscription as well. And then the way the line calling works is you need an Apple Watch or just like another iPhone or iPad on the court.
Is the line calling included in the 2 hours free or no?
It's not. Yeah, okay. It's not. It's only in the subscription. We call it the Pro subscription. So so that's exclusive to the Pro subscription. So that's the kind of standard price. And then as you mentioned, we do have a bundle right now. So you do need a piece of equipment to mount your phone. And as I mentioned, the best one is the pole that sticks on top of the fence. That gives you the best angle. It's going to give you the best accuracy. It looks very nice, like a broadcast quality footage. And so that pole itself is usually about $100, but we have a bundle right now where you can get the pole and the subscription together for $160. So you're essentially getting like $100 off of the whole package.
Okay.
So it's a really great deal. And your listeners will be able to get this through the code that we've provided to you as well.
Yeah. So quickly, and I'll have this in the show notes as well. The discount code that you can use is swing.tennis /C/courtside with the dash. So it's COURT -side 20. I know that's a lot. Don't worry. It'll be in the show notes, but gives them $20 off the pro yearly subscriptions. That's $129.99 instead of $149.99 plus 30-day trial, as well as what you just said, the $100 off the phone mount bundle offer. So again, don't worry about writing that down. It'll be in the show notes. So we talked a little bit about future plans, expansion of SwingVision as far as, partnering up with, like you said, the ITA, USTA, certain colleges. Anything else you want to add as far as expansion to maybe product type in it, or we covered pretty much?
No. I mean, we have a big roadmap plan for us. I mean, this year, a big focus for us is going to be live streaming. So that's going to probably start initially at the college level. We've had a lot of college teams, want to use the live streaming. And so, we have dozens of college teams now that are using the product. And so that's kind of the big focus. And then eventually want to bring the live streaming to consumers as well. So like an individual player, even if you're playing like a league match in USTA, you could stream your match through your iPhone over 5G. Your friends and family could watch it from anywhere in the world. So that's a big focus for us, is like the live streaming component. And then we're also trying to move more into becoming a better coach for you too, and facilitating coaching. So, part of that's providing feedback in real time on the court. So imagine I was like hitting some serves or playing against a ball machine, and like Siri is telling me how to adjust my shots so that I can improve my form. That's kind of the point where we want to get to. But at the same time, we do understand that there's always going to be need for a human coach too. And so we do want to facilitate, remote coaching as well. So imagine I just played a match, I'm out on the road, my coach can see it immediately from wherever they are and like provide me feedback, remotely, almost like this over Zoom. And they can like submit feedback to me and I can just check it whenever I want, almost like they can write a report for me. I think that's gonna be so amazing for coaches, because as a coach, you can literally just like sit at home on the couch and just run through a bunch of matches and like be making money just sitting on the couch. So I think it's gonna be amazing for coaches. So we're really excited about that. And then we hope to bring this to other sports too. So, tennis is kind of the sport we love. It's the one that we really love, but there's a lot of other racket sports out there, and especially recently, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the US now. So there's a lot of other opportunities that I think we can bring this to, but still we're still laser focused on tennis. We're not trying to spread ourselves too thin right now. We're a very small company, very small startup. So that's kind of the focus is tennis, at least for the next year. But then from there, who knows if, this is doing really well, then we might as well bring this to more people. And believe me, there's people knocking on our doors every day asking us to come to badminton and paddle and table tennis and all that stuff. So the demand is there. I think it's just a matter of can we support it with our resources. So
awesome. And I think everybody involved in tennis and racket sports as a whole, thanking you for developing and growing the sport that we all love. It looks like you have so many great things going on right now and in the horizon in the future. So best of luck, Swupnil. This was awesome, and just keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing great things for the sport of tennis.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks so much, David.